Get ready with me while I answer your questions. Woo! Thank you guys for asking questions. I was really nervous when I posted that video and I was like, nobody is going to ask me questions. I'm going to look stupid. So I'm going to try and answer every single one. If you have questions, you can put a question in this video or go back to the OG video. Okay, so first question, how did you end up with your current gig? This is like a very, very long, convoluted story. Well, I guess just the how I got into the industry is a long story. But I was working in radio at a local radio station in Colorado. It was a sports radio station that is now dead. It doesn't exist anymore. But I got a job as a board op at that, which is basically entry level. And it was really late. I started that job when I was 27. So I quit my sales job, marketing job, and I decided I wanted to get into media. I didn't have any classical training. I didn't go to journalism school. So I didn't really know if it was going to be possible, but we were going to give it a go. I was also a Broncos cheerleader at the same time. So that is how I met people in radio. And that is where that opportunity came from. That's a whole nother story that I can also answer at another time. So I was working in radio. I started at the bottom and then a producer job opened up and I took that job, and then I started getting a little bit of on-air opportunities, and I worked with this really great guy who's really an advocate and trying to help me get a little more exposure. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have gotten on-air opportunities because at the time the station director didn't want me on air and the host did. And so shout out to my guy for giving me a shot. My guy, Andy, the best. Okay, so then the, at that time, news director at CBS in Colorado, Channel 4, reached out and was like, hey, have you ever done television? Do you have a reel you could send over? And I wrote him back and I was like, I've never done TV, but I really want to. And no, I don't have a reel. So I went outside the radio station and I started recording stand-ups and what I thought was a reel, and I sent him this email and I was like, here's my reel. It was not a reel. That's not what a reel looked like. That's embarrassing. Thankfully, he was super nice and he just wrote thanks, hey, why don't you come in for a screen test for some auditions? We'll have you write something and then you'll read it and do all that. So I wrote a mock script of kind of takeaways from a Broncos game. I went in there, they put me on the little test TV. I did a whole test audition there, and I was super, super duper nervous. I really had no idea what I was doing. And from there, they had me start working part-times in the mornings. So I started working Mondays and Fridays, basically doing previews for the upcoming Broncos game and then recaps on Monday. And it was pretty simple. I wasn't involved in the editing side or anything. I was mostly writing it and then picking out player sound bites, and then that was primarily it. And then we do a lot of Q&A on set. So it was a very, very part-time morning gig, but I was doing that alongside doing radio, and then also I was still a Broncos cheerleader at that time, so I was doing all three things. And a weekend sports anchor position came available, and I applied for it. And full disclosure, I did not have the experience to do it. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was way more advanced than I was. So that was about 2 years after I had been doing mornings part-time. And the news director was like, look, we're gonna take a flyer on you. If this doesn't work, honestly, we'll get rid of you in 3 months. This was a very, very, very trial thing. I was no way guaranteed anything. He's like, you're gonna have to work your butt off. This is probably, I don't know, there's a good chance this doesn't end well for you. And so I was like, let's go. I'm not going to fail at this. I'm not going to fail at this. I failed many, 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 many times. And the hard thing was a lot of those failures you have, if you're in television, you do in a small market where nobody knows and nobody remembers, because by the time you get to a bigger market, you've worked out all those kinks. So I was basically working out all the kinks in front of a TV market that is very sports savvy, that had a lot to say about how bad I was, rightfully so. But I just put my head down and I just kept working and every day I thought I was gonna get called in and get fired. But I didn't. I just kept working and getting better, hopefully better and better. But it was really hard. Those first few years, or that first year was really, really hard. It was like drinking through a fire hose. And I'm surprised I didn't get fired. So then I was the weekend sports anchor, and then weekday reporter is essentially how that job worked for, I think, 5 years. And then the main sports anchor at my station moved over to news, which I never expected. And so the main sports anchor position became available. And so I applied for it, and it was like a really big discussion because there had never been a female main sports anchor in Colorado television history. So I was like, let's go for it. And so that is pretty unbelievable to say that I am that person. First female main sports anchor in Colorado TV history, coming from a place where I was not classically trained. I didn't go to journalism school. But that's your lesson, folks. If you want something, work your ass off, because you can do it. You can do it. You can do whatever you want. And I've been in this role for about 2 years, and this role has been insane and incredible. And some of the shows I've got to do, I never imagined I would do. I can do that in another video. If you're still here watching, the past 2 years have been insane. And I've learned so much, and I've grown so much, and I've become so much better at what I do. And I'm just so grateful for all of you for asking questions, for asking that question, and many more to come. So keep asking your questions. That's the short story, which was also a very long story. Okay, love you, bye.